like when I became a Christian, it was like I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just gonna give it all.
He took
I'm gonna the leap of faith. I'm gonna take the step.
Yeah.
I'm gonna 100% believe. Maybe there is some kind of doubt here because I don't know, but at the same time, it's like I'm going to believe 100% at this very moment and say, God, I trust you.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back to the Dive podcast. Thank you for joining us. My name's Pastor Joe. To my left is Pastor Brad, and to my right is, can I call you Pastor Dustin?
Call me whatever you
All
want.
right.
I think I put media pastor on the last video.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm going with it.
I like that. Yeah.
I'm rolling with it.
Technology's pastor.
If anybody says any otherwise, no, I'm just joking.
Technology's pastor, because it
I like media.
broadens
I like media.
I love it.
Media pastors.
All right, M&T.
You let us know what you think.
Yeah.
From this point forward, though, I want to be known as the artist formerly known as Bartimaeus.
Oh my goodness. Yes, if you were here yesterday in service, or if you saw online for a little bit there, Pastor Brad was in costume yesterday. He was Bartimaeus live in person. Some people, if you were watching online and maybe you didn't see him come in, it might have been a little confusing for you what was going on. But at one point, some of our people outside weren't completely convinced about what was happening. Got a little worried that someone was actually causing a disruption, which was good. That's what we were going for. Was a disruption. Yes, so that people could feel. Sometimes you got to make people a touch uncomfortable to remind them that,
Sure.
hey, life is kind of just a string of uncomfortabilities, right? And like how we deal with them. That's a really positive way to paint life, isn't it? A string of uncomfortabilities.
Yeah. You know.
So what we do here on the Dive is we take the message from the Sunday before and we dive into it further. We break it down. Maybe we talk about some things we didn't have time to talk about on Sunday morning. Yesterday was our family service. I shouldn't say yesterday because it comes out on Wednesdays. This week was our family service. And what we do on the family service is we have all the kids come in with us, except nursery age. They still go out there, but they serve in different places. They're doing the music with us. They're greeting. They're doing the offering in the tech booth back there. It's
Liam did the whole in-house songs and
pretty cool.
all of that. Yep. I was like, because he was sitting in the back. I was like, you want to do this?
Yeah.
Because he never did it before. He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Awesome. Sweet. And so, you got it.
That hit us at the same time. Like,
you got to mute that bad boy. Just mute it. There's a button on. Oh, you're good.
I don't. I'm a boomer.
Yeah. So we had kids in here, and also Pastor Sarah co-preaches with me on the family service Sunday. I thought it was an awesome time. I thought she did an awesome job.
Absolutely. She always does.
She's really good at being
communicating and articulating a point.
It's like
in the history.
Yeah.
She's good at articulating the history points,
but not coming over like she's like smart, like smarter than you, like better than you.
Yeah,
like she delivers it, and like it's all the wisdom that needs to be there, but without the the snootiness.
That's definitely a skill. I mean, and I think it's about something about teaching kids. I think
no, you're right.
You got to bridge the gap and all that stuff, and so.
And I mean, she gifted, but also grew up around it. Like her father is really good with that too. So
sure,
Pastor Leon, if you're watching, points to you, sir. What's the opposite of catching a stray? Can you catch positive strays? Because he just did. Yeah, he just did.
I'm like Dustin. I'm a boomer. I don't get those references.
Neither of you are boomers. You're Gen X, right?
I think millennial. I think I'm actually
you born
83.
Oh yeah, you're a millennial then. You're good. Sorry, Brad,
but I'm not.
Yeah,
but I'm
older than that.
Oh man, you guys, we're all getting old.
That's good.
But this time around for the family service, we talked about Bartimaeus and how Jesus healed the blind man. He was there. Some translations say that he's coming out of Jericho. Others say he's going into it. Doesn't really matter if he's going out or in. He's in the surrounding area. And there was just, imagine a huge crowd. If you've ever been, I think yesterday, I guess people, if you've been to a sporting event and you've how you have to maneuver your way. I always love those moments because I'm a smaller person, so I can weave through some areas that not everybody can. And so we can usually gain some ground on people by scooting through there. But what's the craziest thing you've seen in a crowd outside of a concert or a stadium or a ball game or something like that?
I don't know.
I have one I can talk about.
All right, go ahead. You go ahead.
I saw two, you know how sometimes people will be playing music like on buckets or boxes or whatever. I saw two people who were doing that get into a legitimate fist fight because one wanted that space and the other one wanted it too. And they put their instruments down and just went at it over the space. And I just kept walking.
Oh,
Like, I
shoot.
have no clue who won. But I just kept walking. I didn't realize it was so territorial. But I'm assuming they make some serious money doing that, right? Is that panhandling? What is that?
It's kind of like street performing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's illegally.
busking.
It's called street performing.
We were in Boston one time, and they have people get permits to do that because there's just some really talented people there. But
Yeah.
there's also people that don't get permits, and so we were.
Oh,
watching.
sure,
You
sure.
don't know which one it is until they get busted. So we were watching
Yeah.
one, and a police officer showed up, and they just scattered in the middle of the street, just gone.
Sure.
Well,
I don't know if I don't have anything. I don't.
So we
Crazy
this
in the crowd.
this past season we were at an FC Cincinnati soccer match, and
Yeah.
they had lightning in the
lot
in
of
the
it.
area and rain and that kind of stuff. So they cleared the stands, and everybody had to be in the outer perimeter on the concrete section, and that was pretty tight. I mean, there was kind of shoulder to shoulder at times, and uncomfortable and not fun. So.
Yeah. So if you've been in a crowd like that, you understand what that's like, and that's kind of what's happening. here.
Sure.
Something I did get to talk about yesterday. There was like 30,000 priests in the city of Jericho, but they would work on 1/3 shifts. So like they all were never working at the same time, except during this time of the year, right?
Oh, wow.
So not only were there so many people there, but there were also so many like priests there working their one shift a year, some of them, so that they could continue to do what they were doing. But it was super crowded, is the point I was trying to get across.
I mean, that sounds like it's pretty crowded.
Well, and Jesus is there, so like he definitely
He brings the crowds.
100%,
Yep.
100%. And the coolness, not the coolness. That's not a good enough word to explain it. But if you can read it, it's in Mark chapter 10. If you can read the story, but like the fact that Jesus hears Bartimaeus, you were laying down there, kind of, what's going on? You know, like
Yeah.
if you're blind, obviously, this is one of my obvious statements here. If you're blind, you can't see. So like but you can hear, and you know something's happening. You can hear commotion and crowd and
Sure.
and this blind guy hears Jesus, and he starts calling out to him. And I was thinking today and yesterday, this whole week, about what sense would I least like to lose? And I said yesterday, vision. You know, if I could only have one sense, I would want vision. But I think it would be fun if you guys ranked the 5 senses. And so wait, the 5 are sight, touch, smell, taste, and sound, hearing, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it should-
yeah.
I mean, it's obvious. The obvious answer is
Oh
vision.
no, we're all gonna
Oh.
after that.
Vision's number one. Okay.
So
Oh wait, I don't know. Some
I don't
people
know
might
if-
not.
yeah,
agree
for
with
me it's not.
that. You really
you
would.
re-
Yeah, believe it or not. And maybe it's because my eyesight is so bad anyway.
You're already halfway there.
I'm really halfway there. I think the worst thing that I would lose, top of the list, would be taste for me.
really.
And that sounds so crazy. Most people don't understand it, but I love food and different flavors
Yeah.
so much
Sure.
that I mean I really think sense of taste would be rough.
Okay.
All right. I'm just gonna change your mind right now.
Okay.
You're gonna tell me that you wouldn't want to look at you don't want to see your wife
Oh, whoa,
or
we're
your
going there.
kids'
Oh, okay.
faces for the rest of your life, or are we talking about where we were
No.
born like that?
Yeah, that's
We're
what-
talking about.
No,
born.
no.
Great
you lose it.
question.
We're talking about losing or being
You
born.
lose it. You had it, and then you lose it.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think taste is the I think touch is the underestimated one.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about.
No,
like,
no,
like
I know,
feeling
but-
of the person.
Mhm.
I'm talking like to pick up this drink,
Now,
like
And-
to turn this
oh, to
page.
feel that you're
Like you
Well-
can't feel any of those things, and like to lose that would
Yeah.
be like it,
Brad,
it would be
Missy. Brad loves you.
Yeah.
I know my wife so well that it is ingrained in my head.
Yes, yeah.
But you know which one? You know which one was
Never
on? That,
see her again.
I was surprised. You know, the other one was listening. He didn't want to.
No, that's an easy.
Hearing
one.
would be
That's the bottom.
that's a
no wait. Oh, so hearing is my number 2. It
So
would be the one I
I-
miss the most.
I could see.
No more music ever.
yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, if I had to, for sure. Yeah, I would be with you. I
Yeah,
would be with
yeah.
you.
But obviously, sight. I'm claustrophobic, anyways. So the idea of being
Being blind, you're always
in a dark,
small.
tight space because you're blind.
Yeah.
It's
I
terrifying.
feel like if seeing is the most important because you can make up the image. If you can see it,
Mhm.
then you can make up the touch in your head. You can
Huh.
make up the taste in your head.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
make up the hearing in your
A
head.
little bit.
You can picture all of those things. But if you lose that, but I mean, yeah, I fear.
I know.
I'm just
I
thankful.
like having all of them.
Yeah, I was
I'd
gonna
like
say-
to
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
all
yeah,
of them.
yeah,
I'm
Like,
thankful this is a hypothetical situation. We don't have to worry about it. 'cause,
smell and taste go
yeah.
together, by the way. So, but whatever.
No, so I mean, I do think it's kind of a crazy thought that he's blind and he calls out to Jesus. So like he would have already, before Jesus even got there, he would have already had to have heard stories.
Absolutely.
Yes. So his.
So like yeah.
Mhm.
So like, and the thing is like when you're blind, I mean, you probably just pick up on so many different things. So people had to have already been talking about him going in and out and what he's already done
Mhm.
for him to even, come to that trust. Like, and what's crazy is that like, there's so many times when I became a Christian, like God, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, there had to have been like when he believed, there probably was like before he even called out, he probably, like, I'm just gonna guess that he's probably like, okay, I'm not 100%. Like I'm just gonna go.
I'm gonna give this.
I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know about anyone being healed, being blind. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna put my faith. I'm just like when I became a Christian, it was like I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just gonna give it all.
He took
I'm gonna the leap
yeah.
of faith. I'm gonna take the step.
Yeah.
I'm gonna 100% believe. Maybe there is some kind of doubt here because
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's like I'm going to believe 100% at this very moment and say, God, I trust you.
Yeah. And how many unknowns are there, right? Like, is he going to hear me in the first place? So I could sit here
With that many people,
Yeah.
is he gonna,
will he even know that I'm here?
Yeah.
If he does hear me, will he even acknowledge me? Because how many other people can he hear right now? Right?
Sure.
Is he even going to acknowledge me? Are the people around me going to allow me to be heard? Because it's very clearly states in the scriptures there that they're rebuking him. Like, hey, shut
Yeah.
your mouth. Like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't want you to bother him right now.
And I think like think of it like if you're not a Christian right now and you're going through a bunch of stuff right now, you might be literally the only person around you, but all of those people that are around you is you. Like it's all of your other thoughts. So think of like yeah, you're going through alcohol, drugs, your marriage, whatever it is. And yeah, there might only be like 5 people around you, like other people that are saying that maybe it's not 30,000, but you're probably the rest of those people. Like, man, should I call out to God in this moment?
Yeah.
He's probably not going to hear me. He's probably, you're just going to go through all these doubts in your head.
Mhm.
And then, but if you call out to him, God is faithful to hear you and to answer, regardless of. I just thought, it's a good thought.
The belief that's there is pretty awesome for
Yeah.
somebody that has just heard rumors.
Yeah,
Like, and
he didn't see him.
there's a lot to say in there, even in that we didn't get into in the sermon about like what does your, I don't want to say what do your rumors say about you, but like what goes.
Oh, sure.
no,
That's
what-
yeah,
no,
no,
what
that's
goes
good.
before you. Like,
Yeah.
what does your reputation that
Yeah.
precedes you say about you?
Yeah,
Because Jesus has told this guy that he was someone that could be approached and that could provide healing for him. And so when people hear about you who might not know you or who might not know you well, not that your reputation's everything, like you still have to back it up with what you do.
sure.
But it ought to be something that encourages hope and trust and faith, right? Like it ought to be something that reflects Jesus to people, even before you've gotten there. Is that
Yeah,
does that
yeah.
sound
No,
like too much of an expectation?
No, I
think
mean-
so.
no. That's good.
It's cool that Jesus is like, and obviously it's Jesus, so we do
Yeah.
that, and we're like, well, of course Jesus' reputation. It's like, well, yeah, but he lives in you.
Of course, you're not gonna be able to heal somebody, right? Like you. I mean, okay, you can. Yeah. No, sure.
Look at it from the lens of the people of the time, though. I mean, yes, it was like we know 2,000 years later, Jesus was the man, right? But
Yeah.
they're just he's just this guy that's doing these things
Uh-huh.
that may be fulfilling these prophecies and stuff.
Yeah.
And like in my head, and I don't know if this is true or not, but in my head, Bartimaeus comes out. He sits on the side of the road begging for money every day. Asking. I don't know that it was a special trip just to see Jesus.
Yeah.
But that was where he normally was.
Yep.
And then Jesus passes by, which is and he's like, oh, well, Jesus
is-
is coming.
this
This
is
is the
real."
guy that I've heard about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that the fame side of that we talked about that in a class I took a while ago that Jesus in some of these scriptures he's getting more popular, he's getting some notoriety and
Yeah.
all that stuff that
Yeah.
he would not have had just a regular dude.
Yeah.
So
And it's awesome when people who simplify it get it way more than people who complicate it. So there's Pharisees who have spent just
Yeah, they're
days and days and weeks trying to figure Jesus out and trying to get rid of him, or trying to what can we do with this guy? And we get,
right.
but they should know who he is more than anybody. But they've overcomplicated it so much they're missing it. And Bartimaeus probably has no formal education, right?
Well, they're trying to disprove it because they know if they're trying, if they can disprove it,
Yeah,
then they can continue doing their lifestyle.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Preservation.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
yes.
And then Bartimaeus is here, who for him, as Pastor Sarah had talked about, to be blind is preserving his lifestyle.
Yeah.
So he made his living through begging.
Yeah.
That was, and she was talking during the week about how like beggars served a purpose in the culture, in the community, because in order to be generous to people and to take care of people, the sick and the poor,
Sure.
there had to be sick and
Poor
poor, right? So people would go out and try to find them, and then they would over glorify what they did. They would try to take that credit. Like, look what they would give to the beggar, and then the beggar would like announce back to the whole crowd like what they gave. And it was this big like interaction, and that was his preservation of his livelihood. But instead of clinging to that, he wants to go to Jesus, and it's very simple for him. It's Jesus equals healing, so that means I need to be where he is. And like how often we overcomplicate what like theology and what scripture is and who God is, and it's like, or we could just run to him and figure that stuff out in his presence, right?
And I mean, he had to take time away from him asking for money. So like he like like the time that he took instead of begging people for money to make money for his livelihood,
Yeah.
so he could eat, he literally sacrificed that time to go to Jesus.
Yeah.
Because he found there was more value in that.
Hmm.
And I thought, I
Yeah.
think maybe I should take my own advice. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, I did say,
Yeah.
but this whole thing that I was talking
Yeah.
about.
I thought it was interesting. I didn't know that his name meant son of filth,
Yeah, I didn't know that.
which that is like just
Yeah.
such a terrible thing to say about somebody.
Yeah, it's like, what can you get
Right.
worse?
That I don't think you get much worse than that. Yeah, son of filth. His entire existence was on other people, was dependent on other people. And so he calls out to Jesus, calls him son of David, right?
Hmm.
Which is what we talked about, implies his level of belief. And he does have a bit of understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
He understands who David was, obviously, or this is just some miraculous God move in his life. I mean, I didn't think about that until just now, but God can
Yeah.
drop knowledge on people. But
Yeah, it's more than likely a David.
you think it's safe to assume this guy's older than 40, or at least
Yeah, I don't
somewhere
know.
around like?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I think he's been around for a while.
Yeah, he's
And
probably maybe he has a little click.
Yeah,
I mean, there's probably a lot of
he has a system.
Yeah.
You know, so he calls out, and people are trying to shut him up, and I think I wish I could remember. I didn't write this point down. I think I said we cannot live our faith out to the level of people around us comfortability. I said it better than that yesterday, but we can't live our faith to the point of we want to make sure that people around us stay comfortable. It was the point behind that.
I
right?
think I wrote. Yeah. I
Did you
wrote.
write it down?
I didn't write down the exact quote because you said it twice,
I did say it twice.
and I just wrote it down for me to go back and find it on the video.
Yes. Oh yeah, we have video.
Technology.
We allow people comfortable. I literally said we allow people comfortable around us to like remember
Yeah.
exactly what, but I couldn't get exactly.
But that's hard to do
But
Sure.
because when people get uncomfortable, they tend to kick back
Sure.
and they tend to fight things. And you have to find that level of okay, I can push to this point, but then you don't want to be, a bull just to be a bull.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out that middle ground of pushing people, and everybody is a little bit, everybody's a little bit different how much they can handle being pushed in different ways. So he's testing the crowd around him, definitely. And I love the moment. I love the moment where Jesus says, "Bring him to me," and then the crowd just like instantly changes.
Yeah.
And just like,
Now we care about you.
yeah, now all of a sudden it's like, oh well, Jesus acknowledged him and cares about it, so now we're gonna care about it. Like, how often,
Yeah.
as I look at that and joke, like, who do we do that to today in our world? Like, who does the church do? Not our particular church, but like the church. Like, there are people
Sure.
that exist in pain and sin and hurt, and we just ignore them until maybe somebody else picks up on ministering to them, and all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, we should do that now. It's like, wait,
Oh,
we
sure.
have been doing that from the beginning. So like,
I mean,
who's
even that,
at risk now? Who are the blind people out there? And
even the sense of where somebody's in the church and they mess up and then they get shown for the rest. You know, I was just talking with somebody about this other pastor. He's a pastor of a he's a bigger church, and he was pretty significant in the denomination, and then he messed up and cheated on his wife, and then so he had to take a step back. But like I was talking with somebody about how it was like a perfect like storm, not a perfect storm, but like both parties did their job. Like he admitted to his
Mhm.
sin, went through a working, the church accepted that. He understood that he had to take a step back for a second, worked with him, and now he's a pastor of a church again.
the same one?
Not the same. No, I don't think the same one.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think he was pastoring a church at that time.
Okay.
He was, but he was. I think he did pastor a church for a while, but he was he teacher at a Bible college, campus pastor, and now in that same denomination, he's pastoring a church.
Cool.
Where like that's
a win.
That's a win for
I know.
both.
Yeah,
Like,
Both
it's a good
parties
thing.
did the same thing.
Yes,
The
that's a
church
win.
was like, okay, we understand what you did. These are the steps to get to where you need to get to.
Yes,
And he's like, okay, I will follow all of those steps correctly.
which is hard for both sides.
For
to
both
do.
sides, because
Yes.
Yeah.
one will sometimes the church will be like, oh, we want nothing to do with you because you're going to hurt our image going forward.
Yep.
He's
And we don't want to deal with our feelings.
Yeah, and
So
then-
we'll just eject you and get
yeah,
rid of
and
you.
then the guy is like, well, I messed up so bad, I'm just going to dip out.
Mm.
But the accountability and the understanding, and he's still with his wife, and everything is still like, I mean, it was a slip up on his part at that situation in his life, but he did.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, I mean, following Jesus is doing the right steps is like will always come out on the other side, you know.
Yep.
Better.
we have to be welcoming to those who are a little bit off. and that can mean a lot of different ways. Like people who have tripped up and fallen and have sin that they're dealing with. We have to be open to those people who are just a little weird. I mean, there's
Sure.
We're all weird. As we
That's why I say, yeah, we're all a little weird, but some of us are a little extra.
said. No, for sure.
But we can't hold those people, arm's length. We have to figure out how to incorporate them, and
Sure.
everybody has value.
Yeah, and we talked about this the very first week on the dive, where I think we forget where we were as Christians,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
that it took us like years and years and to like get to where we are, and then we get to where we are, and then we expect people just to jump in a microwave. That's the comment I made, and I thought that was a great point, like. Oh, you're not a Christian, whatever, blah blah blah. Oh, Jesus saved you. Oh, okay, yeah, come into this circle now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
now, because and then usually what we do is when they do become a Christian, sometimes we like put them in a microscope for like so much, like,
Well, now you can.
oh, you did that, boom. We're just like a sniper, like looking for our thing for him to mess up.
hoping nobody finds our thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
and then ready to snipe people out like immediately, and especially if you have a grudge against that person or you grew up with that, like, and yeah, God changes people's lives,
Yeah.
and we should be on that side.
I think he's right about that.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Point of argument there.
All right, we accept. So Jesus calls Bartimaeus to him, and he asks him, "What do you want me to do for you?" Which, if you first read it, sounds like a duh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you noticed or not, Jesus, but I can't see. So, and Pastor Sarah had this part, but she talked about how like he wasn't just asking him, "Do you want to see?" Obviously, Jesus knows he wants to see, but what he's asking him is, "Are you ready for the hardship that your sight is going to bring you?"
Sure.
How often do we think of? Maybe this is the wrong way to phrase it. And if it is, stop me. How often do we think of Christianity and the growth that God's calling us to as a potential hardship or something that brings certain struggles to our life, right?
No, you've heard me say this. I say this all. I actually think there's evidence that when you become a Christian, your life gets harder. Like in the first, like, I mean, it happened for me. I see it happen for so many people And I even think in the parable of the farmer with the parable of the farmer, but that some people hear, some people this, because I do think that when you first become a Christian, I mean, things change. You know, like if you truly give your life to Christ, the friction begins, and I do think that trials begin, and God, and sometimes really big trials at the beginning, where God's like, "Are you sure this is what you want to do?"
Yeah.
Like for me, it was losing every friend in my life, where I was the only Christian in my life for a short period of time, where I knew no other Christian. Like I knew one, and God took that person away from me, and like I had nobody. And I really feel like in that moment, God's like, "Are you sure this is what you want to do? Because you might be lonely. You might be the only person." But and then after, of course, yes, this is what I want to do. And growing, now I have countless friends. And I think that we all go through, and in his situation, it's like, are you sure you want to do this? Because you're going to have to change. There's going to be trials, and there's going to be. So I think it's good. I also, before we touch a little bit more on this, I also think that Jesus asked because I think God wants us to recognize what we really want.
Yeah.
He wants us to be specific in our prayers. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want? What do you want me to do? He doesn't want us to be broad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He wants us to be he wants us to be very specific. We don't, trying to get around the bush or whatever. Like, and so, but I thought the point Sarah made was very good.
Yeah. What do you think, Brad?
Well, you just mentioned it. I think there's this point of crisis, or however you want to put it, that the old phrase is Jesus is a gentleman, right? That he'll never come anywhere that you don't ask him into. And so for my head, like I have this picture of Jesus passing by the man, calling out, "Hey, Jesus, have mercy on me." And then, like you said, just Jesus wanting to know for sure, like, are you in or are you out? Are you ready or are you
like a last chance?
Yeah. This is radical. It's Neo taking the pill, right, to open up his eyes.
Yes.
I mean,
that's so good.
yeah, from the Matrix, because it's like this is gonna mess you up, but it's gonna happen.
The best for you.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna see now.
Yeah.
But are you ready to see?
Yeah, it just there's so many other levels. Like this temporary suffering, like this area it's bad, but when you come into the other side, there's going to be another set of
that's good
of problems and stuff. So I love it.
And he responds, I want to see. He says, Rabbi, which I keep wanting to say Rabboni because it sounds like a pasta, but it took me so much not to say that. But Rabbi, which is not just rabbi like teacher, but it's my master, which also made me think of Star Wars because that's how they always refer to the Jedi. Yeah,
sure.
But the depth of his belief in who Christ is, and the power that Jesus has, and the compassion that Jesus has, and also like his lordship. He's not just like my teacher, but my master. Like, you're a person that I'm gonna serve, right?
And I mean, the faith that he had to have is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because one, you're blind the whole time and you've never seen someone just be healed being blind, to trust the Jesus, and then to trust that Jesus is going to help him going forward.
Yeah. It's not just in the moment.
It's like
the continual.
And he didn't, and the blind man didn't need to know all the answers. He didn't know what he didn't know the future. He didn't know any of that. He was like, no,
That's part of the beauty of it, is he didn't need all those answers.
Yeah.
It was just, he knew that if Jesus healed him, then he was gonna be with him as well, and so he could.
Sure, yeah. And then the next point was, or one of the next points was, he didn't stay in the same spot.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
that. Right.
I read that. He didn't stay in the same spot. He didn't but. As
Jesus tells him, "Go, your faith is healed,"
and he left.
Immediately, not just like, well, he hung around for a little. No, immediately he got up. He was gone, and he was. I can only picture like the stories that he told. Is like, hey, this.
Yeah.
Can you know me? Like, right. I was blind, and that.
How many people, if he was at the entrance or exit to such a big city, people would have recognized him, and it'd been like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Were you tricking me the whole time? I've given this guy money. Like,
right? mean,
You can see the whole time.
what?
It's like,
You know?
have you heard the story Shaq tells about Stevie? I think it's Stevie Wonder.
Oh yeah, the elevator.
Where he gets into the elevator with him and like he can tell whatever. If you believe Stevie's legally blind or not, that's up to you to decide. But
Oh, yeah.
but there must have been people frustrated by that, right? Of
Yeah.
like, wait a second, what are you doing? And instead of seeing the miracle that God performed, they see the frustration of, did you get one over on me? But really, he's a living, breathing testimony everywhere he goes of the power that Christ has. And also, like, assuming he was blind from birth, which I believe he was, how overwhelming that would be to all of a sudden see everything.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have that input in your brain until all of a sudden, one moment you did. And not just like you're in a real nice, calm field, or you're on a nice ocean where it's chill. No. There's just a cacophony of people in front of you.
Right.
I wish we had more story of his life, because I knowing life in general, I know that it wasn't just easy going forward.
It could not have been. There's no way.
Like, I mean, he had to learn he had to learn an actual skill. He had to learn, and so like, but so go like in our life, when we accept Jesus, there might be new skills that we're gonna have to learn. There's gonna be stretching, and there's gonna be frustration. There's gonna be frustration. There's gonna be uncertainties, and we have to continually trust Jesus for the future, over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
And to the spot of him leaving the spot. I mean, we look at the other story where it wasn't like that with the rich man, where the rich man had everything. He had his sight, he had all of his senses, he had money, he had everything, and he did not leave the spot.
No.
And he went his own way, and that was the end of that.
Yep.
And we don't know his name.
He shrugged his shoulders.
What was his name?
The rich young ruler.
Rich young ruler. And we know about it. We don't know his name, but we know a name of a blind guy who had no money, couldn't see, son of filth. Yeah. And we know that. And, you might not be blind today, but know that whatever you're going through, God can heal you. And that might not be like this miracle where it was, boom, but through prayer. Yeah. So.
And let's say he follows Jesus for the next couple of weeks, but that's all Jesus had on the earth left. It's like we're not talking long from this point to when he's dying on the cross and being resurrected, right? So even if Bartimaeus hung with him all the way through all that, which not many people did, obviously, once he got arrested.
Sure.
So he has right in front of him the Jesus that saved him, but then very quickly in the scope of life, he doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
And Jesus is gone, killed and then resurrected and ascends to heaven. And so he has to do something with that faith.
And there was all the persecution then there was a bunch of persecution, like.
Yeah. He was signing up for quite a bit there. And
but it was work. I could probably guarantee, if we go back, we ask him, would you have done the same thing in that zone moment? Well, I would only assume that he would have been like, I would have done the same thing.
Yep. And so the question at the end is, what do you want Jesus to do for you? And to be the encouragement to be really particular about that. Like you don't, I think sometimes we get nervous about telling God what we want.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong. Like we were in one of the studies I'm doing with a group, we were talking about Moses last week, and God and Moses comes down the mountain with the tablets, and he sees all the idol worship happening, and God is like irate. Right? I'm gonna wipe every one of them off this earth. Hey, I'm starting over with you, Moses. Yep. This is gonna be me and you, bud, and we're gonna start over. And Moses stops, and he's like, "No, don't do that. Like, remember, these are the people that you love, and that's why we're doing what we're doing." And Moses talks to God. And some could phrase it as changes God's mind. And the idea there is that God's initial plan, his big plan, is never going to be changed, but he's willing to alter how he gets that plan done based on the response of people.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes you can ask him, like not sometimes, you can always go straight to him about what you feel. Somebody told me this past week that, sometimes I just get really angry with him. And I said, well, that's okay. Tell him.
Yeah.
like, that's a perfectly normal response, but you don't hide that from him. Tell him you're angry with God. Like tell God.
You can't hide it.
He knows already.
So
you might as well tell him and work through that with him, right?
Yes.
Like, as on the same team, and so tell God what you want, not just in a selfish way, but in the way like this is the desire of your heart. Not like I want this car or this app, but like God, this is what I want. in life.
Yeah, Dustin said it earlier about being specific in your prayers or in your wants and stuff. And I probably do that sometimes out loud more than I should. I was thinking about as you were asking that question, just this last weekend, working on a construction project with some friends, and we were about to do something that could have went horribly wrong, right? And really messed up if it went wrong, right? And just out loud in the moment, I said something along the lines of, "Hey, God, help me drill this hole," right?
Yeah.
And the fellas that I was working with, they kind of snickered and made some
Yeah.
jokes and stuff, which was cool. I mean, but
Well, you mean
the
it.
reality of it was like I needed help in that moment,
Yeah.
and I think that the faster we can get, even in the, he cares about the small stuff.
Dude.
He cares about the small specific stuff. The
Everything is small
number of
doses.
those,
Yeah.
the number of those kind of prayers that I've said in my life, I can't even count, right? But the number of those that he's answered has been crazy too.
I'll remember something I need for the day walking out the door. I'll be one step out the door and all of a sudden it'll hit me. I need this thing. I'll turn around and be like, oh, thanks God.
Yep.
Like I try to be that conversational about it.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
almost forgot my bag.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And so I'm going to give him credit for reminding me of that. Because even if it was my own brain that did it, he gave me the brain anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so like
And
the credit is his.
the awesome part about that is neither one of us are like so super spiritual that God favors us more than anything.
Yeah, I'm not praying about what cereal to eat.
Everybody has this ability. Like he loves each and every one of us the exact same, and he wants to do those
just
kind of
want
things in
that
all of ours.
Back
Yeah,
and forth with it. Like when
I
I
think
went
so.
to college, I went 1,000 miles away from my parents. And nothing made them happier than when I would just call back home for nothing. Like not because I needed money or because I
Yeah.
was coming, trying to schedule out when I was coming back home, but just to call and be like, "Hey, how's it going back there?" Like just the check-in stuff. And like you can do that all the time. And you're like, "You guys are crazy." No, I'm not. I don't think I'm crazy. Like I think
Sure.
God is a part of everything that we
Yeah.
do. And now, if I forget something tomorrow, I'm not going to blame God because I forgot it.
No.
But if
No.
I always take those little moments where I see something happen, I'm like, oh, God was a part of that.
No,
And to
for
thank him back-
for me, it's like I forgot something. Like I'd be like, oh man, I forgot this. But in the forgetting that one thing, I forgot something else. And that one thing was right next to it that I really needed.
Yes.
Like I forget,
I forget
my cell phone, and I'm like, oh crap, I go back in the car to get my cell phone, and all of a sudden I
The
forgot.
batteries for the camera.
I forgot
about to go shoot a wedding or something.
I know I did forget the batteries. That's beside the point. But that was
But it
bad.
worked
I
out.
had to go
You
out.
talk-
I had
you
to go
talking
out.
about
But no, this
Wedding or you talking about?
no, I did forget the batteries
okay.
of the wedding. But no, there's so many times in my life where like I'll forget something, but then realize
Yeah.
there was actually something else I really needed,
Yeah.
and it will go hand to hand because I forgot that one thing. It
Like,
triggered-
oh, the baby's still here. I can't leave without the baby.
I'll tell you, that's that third baby I forgot a couple of times.
Dude,
That-
third one changes your life, right?
I remember I was out.
It's great.
We're just talking, but I remember.
That's all we were doing.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was talking to Brad outside for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, I went inside and the kid was there. I was like, oh yeah, because the other two kids were outside. And I was like, oh man, I had this other kid in the house. That's besides the point. I love my children.
Yeah.
But, I think the biggest thing that we could take away is that don't be afraid to go to God with
Yeah.
the needs that you have.
The worst thing that's going to happen is he's going to say no, and you can trust that his no is the best thing for you if he says it.
Sure.
So like you might be frustrated in the moment, but if he gives you the no, that means that he has something else planned, and this is not what's for you
Yeah,
right now.
sure.
So that's hard to accept.
Not what your feelings are.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful day. If you always want to catch the sermon
Do it.
live,
Right
we're
here.
live online at our Facebook page, and it'll be in the description.
And in person.
And in person, you can,
Yeah.
if you're in the area, come check us out. You can
Mhm.
always go to the website, gpcchurch.com. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Peace.